Hey, imagine sitting down across the table from evil itself, and you get to ask a question. And you ask, how do you steal the dreams of billions of people? And that's exactly what Napoleon Hill did in a book that he wrote called Outwitting the Devil. And what he discovered, it's not this horror fiction, it's how 98% of people are manipulated, distracted, and then destroyed. And it's not by monsters, it's not even by the devil or evil himself, but it's by their own minds. And today I'm going to share exactly how this happens, and more importantly, a little bit of how to escape it. And so the devil comes into this story and introduces himself not as some kind of red beast with horns, but as a negative energy in the universe. He says that, look, I live in fear, I live in doubt, and I live in confusion. And he says this, that his greatest weapon over human beings is drift. And what they define drift as is when you don't think for yourself, when you go through life without intention, without any kind of direction. You basically are waking up, you go to work, you come home, you scroll, you go to sleep, you rinse and repeat, and it's over and over and over. And evil himself smiles because you're no threat to him now. And he says this in the book, I enter at the weakest spot in a man's mind, and I weaken him with fear until I can control every single move. Now, think about somebody who works a job they hate but never looks for anything else. They live in fear of trying to find something else. They say things like, it's just how it is, I don't have the time, or I'm too old to change, maybe I'm too comfortable at this point. Whatever the case, it's not laziness, it's called the drift. And it's this invisible hand of defeat that guides their entire life. And they've become a pawn in the scheme of life, and I've experienced that. And he'll ask the devil, how exactly then do you get control? And the devil answers with this terrifying clarity. He says, I use fear, I use procrastination, I use distractions, I use the school systems, and I use habits. So let's break that down. Fear. Fear of what? Well, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment. Most people are paralyzed even before they ever get started. So procrastination, well, I'll do it tomorrow. But guess what? Tomorrow never comes. How about our habits, whether it's smoking, gossiping, binge watching, overeating? The devil doesn't care what the habit is, only that it weakens your will, right? And then he even goes into the education, the school system. Yes, even schools, he says, I teach children to memorize facts, but never how to think independently. Children grow up to they get trained to follow, not lead. He even goes in to talk about religion and how it's designed not to save, but to shame. And he says that religion uses fear, guilt, and punishment instead of love and wisdom, and it becomes one of his greatest weapons. So I can see that in my own upbringing, my own childhood, but you might know somebody who went to school and got straight A's, went to college, but now they just feel lost, they're anxious, they're unfulfilled. Well, why is that? Because they were never taught to find purpose, only to obey a system. And that's how the devil wins. That's how it's talked about in this book, that he wins through systems that crush self-direction. So Napoleon Hill pushes back and he says, look, if you can control 98% of people, who are the 2% that you can't control? And here comes the key, right? The devil says that he can't control the non-drifter, or in other words, the thinker. It's somebody that thinks for themselves, who lives with this definiteness of purpose, who cultivates faith, discipline, critical thinking. They ask a lot of questions like, what am I doing with my life? And then they take action on whatever that answer is. They train their mind kind of like soldiers train their body. They practice stillness. They surround themselves with truth. They even move forward when fear whispers, hey, don't do that. You're gonna fail. This is the consequence. And gives examples of this, like with Thomas Edison, who failed over 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb. He never drifted. He stayed focused and kept moving forward. Abraham Lincoln, who lost elections over and over. He faced depression. He led during the wartime. Well, he didn't drift, right? He stayed on focus. These men had something the devil couldn't touch, and it was that faith, courage, and definiteness of purpose. And so can you. And today, the battlefields are our phones, our habits, our thoughts, the gossip, the slander we have towards each other. The enemy is invisible because it lives in our indecision, our fear, our thoughts of staying the same. And the only real enemy, the devil says in the book, is yourself. And here's the good news. You don't need to defeat all devil or all evil. You just need to choose one. What are your devils? Maybe you need to choose to think for yourself. Choose to grow instead of staying stagnant. Choose purpose over comfort. So I ask you this, are you living on purpose or are you drifting? See, I believe the devil is real, evil is real, if you want to call it that. He's in our fear, he's in our delay, he's in our distractions, but he only wins when we hand him the keys to our mind. So it's time to take those keys back, right? It's time to write down your mission, strengthen your thoughts, build a life on truth, discipline, and faith, and ultimately you end up outwitting the devil. And live the life only 2% dare to ever build. I'm confident you can do it. See how crazy this gets is, even in the book he talks about this, that the devil even says, look, I never have to ask people to believe in me. Religion begs people to believe in God, and it's almost guaranteed that they believe in me. They don't ask them to. They just do, and that's scary. The fact of the matter is we spend so much time trying to convince ourselves or other people to believe in good, believe in positive, and all those kind of things, yet we never ask them to believe in the negative, yet everybody does. So hopefully today's a turning point for you, and you can learn from this experience that you can outwit the devil too.